afternoon, members of ACK St. Gertrude. My name is Macharia, a member of the medical team of ACK St. Gertrude. I'm here before you to give you a small brief on the COVID-19 disease. COVID-19 disease is an infectious disease that is caused by the coronavirus, part of a large family that was recently discovered that is part of a large family of coronaviruses that cause illnesses in animals and humans. This virus was discovered in Wuhan in China back in December of 2019. The virus itself has an incubation period of around 2 to 14 days and an average of around 5 days. Incubation period, by here I mean the duration from time of exposure to getting symptoms. The transmission itself of COVID-19 is through droplets that are released when a person coughs, talks, or breathes out air. And these droplets, given the right conditions, can be carried through the air. The transmission can also be through close contact with a person who is either contaminated or is sick, through either touching them, kissing them, or shaking their hands. And when you shake their hands, you can either end up touching your eyes or your nose or your mouth. And also it can be spread through contaminated surfaces where one touches them and then touches themselves. When you look at this disease, compared to, say, common cold flu, the one thing you'll notice that there are differences. If I look at the time between catching the virus and beginning of showing symptoms, for a cold, it will take you 1 to 3 days. For flu, it will take you 1 to 4 days. And as we said, for the coronavirus disease, it will take you 2 to 14 days. The symptoms onset, for a cold, they are of gradual onset. For flu, they are abrupt. And for the coronavirus disease, they are gradual. How long do the symptoms last? If you look at a cold, it will be 7 to 12 days. If you look at flu, 3 to 7 days. And if you look at coronavirus disease, in mild cases, 2 weeks. In severe cases, 3 to 6 weeks. The major symptoms, as like fever, for example, you will find fever sometimes in a cold. It is common with flu and also common with coronavirus disease. A runny nose is common with a cold. Sometimes you'll find it in flu, and it's less common in coronavirus disease. For a sore throat, it is common in a cold. Sometimes you'll find it in flu, and less common with coronavirus disease. A cough is common in a cold. Sometimes you'll find it in a flu, and it's common as far as the coronavirus disease is concerned. Body aches, they are rare in a cold. If they occur, they are mild. In a flu, they are common, but in coronavirus disease, they are less common. Difficulty in breathing is rare in a cold, rare in flu, but very common in coronavirus disease. So, in a nutshell, the signs and symptoms for coronavirus disease that are very common are fever, dry cough that can sometimes progress to a wet cough, and extreme tiredness. Less common symptoms include sore throat, loss of sense of smell and taste, nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, muscle and joint pains, rash on the skin, or discoloration of fingers or toes. This discoloration is bluish in color, especially for those people who are light-skinned. And you can also find headache as a less common signs and symptom. From those serious symptoms, the ones that would need you to go to a hospital include difficulty in breathing and shortness of breath, chest pain or pressure on the chest, and loss of speech or movement. So, who is likely to get COVID-19 disease? Older people above the age of 60 because of reduced immunity, people with pre-existing medical conditions like high blood pressure, heart disease, lung disease, cancer, diabetes, etc., pregnant and women and lactating mothers. And also, you also find that people who are overweight and obese are also at high risk of developing this disease. And these categories that I've mentioned, also, if they do get coronavirus disease, will end up having severe illness and that requires hospitalization. So what do you do when you suspect that you're infected? What you do, the first thing that I would advise you to do is not to panic. Number 2, self-isolate and stay at home if you begin to feel unwell. If your symptoms are mild, just stay at home and feed well and take plenty of fluids and ensure that you're well covered in the house. If your symptoms become severe, that is, you develop a fever, high fevers, a cough, and difficulty in breathing, kindly seek medical attention. It would be important to call in advance so that your medical service provider will be able to advise you accordingly on what to do so that as you're seeking those services, you'll not be in a position to endanger other people, so that in that process, you'll ensure that you prevent possible spread of COVID-19. So for prevention purposes, one of the most important things is to wear a face mask at all times while going out of your house. Ensure that you observe physical or what you call in social distancing while engaging people outside your home. Ensure that you observe good hand hygiene. That is washing your hands with soap and water. Where you don't have soap and water, please use a sanitizer. Avoid non-essential travel. And in this, we are looking at either visiting your friends these particular times, going for birthdays, house parties, or any other form of non-essential travel. Also ensure that you're able to eat well, a well-balanced diet, and ensure that you're well hydrated. From my end, I will also advise that you gargle warm salty water every evening after you brush your teeth before going to bed. That will ensure that your throat stays clean. As I conclude, I would like to say this to my fellow congregants. Please remember the words in Psalm 91, that even though God did not promise us a world free of dangers, He promised us that He would be with us even when we face dangerous moments. And at the same time, the words in 2 Timothy chapter 1, verse 7, they remind us that God has given us a spirit of courage and of a sound mind. In Luke chapter 10, verse 19, Christ Jesus gave us the authority to trample over snakes and scorpions and to overcome the power of the enemy. That means we have authority even over this pandemic. Isaiah chapter 54, verse 17, no weapon forged against us will prevail. So in other words, we will prevail over this. Matthew chapter 24, verse 6 reminds us that we will hear of wars and rumors of war. But see to it that we are not alarmed. Such things must happen, but the end is still to come. Christ reminds us that we should always not be alarmed by these things because He's in us. And since we've been given a spirit of courage and of a sound mind, then we stand firm. With those few remarks, I would like to say thank you very much. God bless us and keep us safe.
Would you like to identify your purpose? Do you want to make a difference in your generation? Look no further. ACK St. Gertrude Parish, Clay City and its Teens Ministry present The Authentic Talk, where we set things straight and draw a clear line between worldly perceptions and biblical principles. Tune in to our YouTube channel at ACK St. Gertrude Parish, Clay City. Like, comment, and subscribe. Join the conversation on our social media platforms at The Authentic Teens on Facebook and at Authentic_Teens on Instagram. Come, let's interact as we grow spiritually.